Hey everybody, thanks for playing World of Tanks. Thanks for taking a look at this World of Tanks video. I'm Pearl Anthem, and with this channel I focus not so much on being a great player, I focus on being a better player over time, thinking about the game in new ways and focusing on playing for the team win as opposed for the individual accolades. Alright, with this video, the main focus is actually going to be kind of close to the end, the last half of the match, I would say. Nevertheless, we are going to be able, I think, to use this video to point out how it came to be that the losing team lost the match. So we'll be able to kind of take a look at that and hopefully learn from that and do our best to avoid making those mistakes ourselves when we play the game. As with a lot of maps in World of Tanks, this map has kind of a central dividing line, and the halfway line of the map, if we're kind of identifying the halfway point between the north spawn and the south spawn, is that that line between the E and F rows, and that actually happens to be kind of the dividing crest for the map as well. It's kind of the highest point in the map, and it kind of bifurcates the north spawn area from the south spawn area. So I'm just kind of mainly running back and forth along that high point of the map, keeping an eye on things, taking a shot here and there when an enemy becomes an available target for my gun. Mainly I'm just being available in case anybody charges over that middle line toward our spawn area. Making myself available to take those shots, and otherwise just kind of trying to keep an eye out on things, get some spots here and there. Yeah. We have a lot of heavies, just generally as a team, a lot more than they do. They have a few more destroyers than we do. Unfortunately, a good proportion of our heavy tanks do make it into the town area, which I think is a sound approach to this map. You know, as with a bunch of heavies going in toward the buildings to take that space, make use of those short ranges and the buildings and the kind of the mounds of rubble. Make use of those forms of cover, and using what the heavy tanks have going for them, which is to say strong guns, but guns that are inaccurate at long range. A lot of hit points, a lot of armor, and so I go in there and kind of help them out at least a little bit, and then kind of lead the way as they push forward in toward the north half of the map there. Light up the two artillery pieces. And here in a moment I'm going to kind of come to a stop to try to line up a shot against this enemy artillery, and that's kind of a dangerous thing to do. It does look like he's, generally speaking, aiming his gun in my area, and so I kind of pretty quickly get back into moving around, making myself a difficult target. Go ahead and make use of the opportunity for a reload. At this point we are up 8-4, and so we do have the advantage, but we do need to make sure that we're careful with this advantage, because this is still a situation from which they could come back and take the match. They've come back up a little bit, 8-5 there shortly. We're up 9-5. So at this point, if I can stay out of the way of the rocks, I'm trying to use my mobility and my light tank view range to locate the final enemy vehicles. There's that Iron Rain heading south. It was about E1 last we saw him. It seems like there are a lot of enemies indeed. It looks like pretty much all of the enemy vehicles except for maybe the Iron Rain. All the enemy vehicles are up in this northwest corner. I actually at the time did not notice that dragon coming around behind me. Fortunately an ally helped me out with that. But yeah, as we can see, it looks like pretty much the the last like 5, maybe 6 enemy vehicles, yeah, about the last 6 or 7 if we include the Iron Rain, 6 or 7 enemy vehicles are up in this northwest corner. While I do like to advocate for using caution, being careful with your hit points and making sure that you can hang on to your hit points, I don't think it's a good idea to be so cautious or so careful that you lock yourself down in a corner of the map that occupies 4 squares. That basically gives the enemy team access to all of the rest of the map, except for those 4 squares. Alright, so at this point, the main thing that I'm doing is keeping these enemy vehicles located, keeping them lit for my allies to take the shots. They've got the better guns than I've got. Instead, I've got the mobility and the view range, and if anything, maybe I'll become a distraction, kind of take the focus of an enemy tank, so that my ally can have a safer opportunity to take their shots as they sit still and aim in. Clearly I do take a shot there as it becomes available to me, and maybe get a couple more shots in here as they're available to me. So there is 1 enemy vehicle left. We do have a heavy tank down to the last 20 seconds of that capture clock. He says, "Good game." I'm thinking, well, we still have an enemy vehicle remaining. I think we saw that destroyer down south a little bit ago, and there we see that enemy Iron Rain again, taking out the second of our 2 artillery pieces. I'm thinking I want to go, get some more damage in, earn some more XP and silver. That heavy tank, Cleave 100, there's the player. Props to that guy. He's willing to get out of that capture circle for me, get that clock out of the way, and give me time to run down south and try to fight this Iron Rain. We do have 2 vehicles in there now, so I've got a little bit of a limited time frame here. Locate the Iron Rain. We're going to see this Iron Rain managed to get his gun around on me. So I couldn't exactly do much for that. That was going to be something that just kind of had to happen. But what I could do is notice when that Iron Rain had the opportunity for that straight-on shot, and make it a limited time frame kind of availability for that Iron Rain to have that shot on my vehicle. And so in the meantime, I was focusing on staying opposite the direction that his gun was pointing, so that if he was loaded, didn't have any shots on me. And I was focused on that so much that for a time, after I finished my reload, I didn't take some shots that were available to me. I was just so excited about not giving that Iron Rain shots at me. I forgot to take those shots that were available to me. So this is a pretty interesting match to watch. We saw how the enemy team kind of, close to half of them, I'd say a good, 5, 6, maybe 7 enemy vehicles throughout the course of the match there, at least the bulk of the match, had kept themselves pinned into that northwest corner, the 4 squares, and so we were able to have a pretty relatively easy go of it, fighting off the the other 8, 9, 10 tanks on the enemy team that were fighting for the rest of the map. Relatively easy time of it, basically a 15-on-10 kind of a fight there, if you will. Take control over the map, and then basically corner those enemy vehicles in a way that was relatively easy. Again, we had the numbers advantage. We had more vehicles than they did, and they had much less space to work with. And so we just kind of, had a fish in a barrel situation there. They had 1 less enemy tank. Fortunately, my ally Heavy there gave me the time I needed to go down and circle the Iron Rain for what is effectively about half the total damage that I dealt this match. Well, let me know what you think in the comments. Thanks for taking a look at this World of Tanks video, and thanks for playing World of Tanks.